What's up, losers? My name's Marshall, and today we're going to be reviewing Darth Maul's new issue. It's a new series that Marvel recently just released, and let's just jump right into it. I want to tell you guys right off the bat that Darth Maul #1 is a big deal. This is the first chance in a while Marvel has had to expand on the canon of one of the most beloved characters in Star Wars. This is a #1 issue, and as a result, this means that this issue is going to be the most purchased by the amount of people that are going to read this whole series. If you follow comic trends, usually after the first issue, or even with a TV series, usually after the first episode, that's when people start to fall off. So it has to be good. It has to come out really strong. So the only large amount of canon we have of Maul, other than the movies that he's in, or excuse me, just the Phantom Menace, is we have a little bit of him in the Clone Wars television series and the Rebels animated series by Disney XD. So the writers of this must understand that they have a responsibility and a huge opportunity in front of them to give great screen time and great book time to a great character that we don't have a lot of. I was very excited to see, more of Maul's backstory. And the thing is with Maul is he's much like Boba Fett in the way that both these characters are extremely beloved and a lot of people like these characters, but they have very little screen time in comparison to their popularity. The head writer of this series is Cullen Bunn. It's his first work that I'm aware of with Star Wars. Now, the comic opens up on the first page. We got the intro text, and the intro discusses the theme of, the Sith, essentially, that Darth Sidious, Darth Maul are approaching the time to reveal themselves to the Jedi. We know that this is a little bit before the Phantom Menace, maybe years before. They're not exactly certain. But we are introduced to the contrast of Maul and Sidious, and we know how calculating and patient Sidious is from the Phantom Menace and all the prequel movies, and we know that he's very manipulating and careful, and how he's handling very meticulously both the Jedi Order and all the politics of the galaxy so that he can assume power. While Maul, in contrast, is portrayed as a brute and eager fighter to test his new strength against their ancient enemy, the Jedi. So now that we have the intro text out of the way, we jump right into the first art, the first scene of the novel, and we see the Rathtar scene. There's a Rathtar scene, and I immediately was kind of like, you know what? I'm not really into the Rathars. But regardless, the scene opens up with a small band of fighters on a toxic planet. I think it's the first time we've seen it. It's called Tuan Kati, and this band is soon torn apart by a familiar face, like I just said, the Rathars from Force Awakens. These Rathars tear these fighters limb from limb, and some are torn body from limb, literally, as shown on page 3. And Maul is up in the treetops watching the massacre from the treetops, wielding a glaive. And I don't know why they have him holding a glaive. I don't know if this is an attempt to show us a younger Maul who has not yet acquired his lightsaber, but I didn't buy it. I can't actually think of one bladed weapon right now in the Star Wars universe that I know of. And to be honest, it looks a little bit like something Garruk from Magic the Gathering would be wielding. But anyway, let's move on. So Maul fights the Rathars and kills them one by one. While doing this, we, the reader, get to read his inner thoughts, where he goes into detail of relating to these Rathars, that he, in relation to these animals, is bloodthirsty and that he needs to be satisfied, that he has a fight that needs to be satiated. And side note, I did notice something that I felt like a lot of people missed, that, Darth Maul is a Zabrak from planet Dathomir, and the male species on this planet is known to have large horns on their heads, and that his horns in this scene are very small. They're much smaller. And like I said a second ago, I feel like this might be the writer's way of hinting that Maul could be younger at this time, that his horns grow over time. I don't know if that's how it works, but it seems like that to me. Maul seems like he's in a younger state. Maul describes these killings as a hollow meal and that they will not satisfy. This fight seems petty for me. I don't get that. I just don't buy into the fact that the writer decided to have a Sith Lord run around the galaxy hunting these creatures basically for bloodlust. It seems petty, and I'm not into it. We go to the very next page, and the next thing we have is Maul in the shadows stalking the Jedi on Coruscant. And I like this scene because the art is awesome. There's deep purples. It looks great. I really like the contrast as opposed to all the greens in the previous page. And even though there's not a lot of action, actually there's no action in this whole scene, it's my favorite in the comic because while there's no action, I do like that here we get a glimpse of Maul's hatred of the Jedi. And as we know, this is a familiar trait of Maul. We know this about him, and the hate is what makes Maul so powerful. So I love that we got to see this side of him. Despite all his hatred, I love that, he has this anger swelling within him. He's able to be patient. And even though he's eager for the Jedi's destruction, we see resolve within Maul, which shows maturity to his character to me. And as Maul returns to Sidious, he is scolded and told to be patient or pay with his life if he toys with the Jedi again. If Maul blew it here, it would blow everything. The Jedi would know the Sith are back. I don't like Maul's character in this scene because it shows that Maul's kind of like this dog that is, on a long leash and he needs to be reined in. This scene also, again, just like in the intro credits, portrays the two differences of the Sith's tactics. Sidious seeking power and total domination of the Jedi and the Senate and all of the politics of the galaxy, while Maul is a passionate warrior seeking for the thrill of the fight. Recognizing Maul's desires need to be satisfied, Maul is sent to Kellex, to a mining facility being run by the Trade Federation. They're having some run-ins with pirates, and basically Sidious sends him to go deal with this problem, and it also gives Maul an opportunity to fight. On the way to this planet, to this mining facility, we see Maul for the first time ever, I think, in a space fight where he, descends on these group of ships, takes all of them out, and it proves that Maul's kind of a decent pilot, and it's the only time we've really seen him fight in space. But in this whole scene, the dialogue isn't about the fight or what he thinks about the fight. All he's doing is he's complaining again. Maul's complaining that he wants to fight the Jedi more, and we just got that in the last scene and the scene before that. So let's move on from the space fight. We see him in the Trade Federation's building on the mining facility, and Maul jumps right into combat. It's the first thing we see. He's doing some cartwheels. He's blocking a fury of blaster bolts. Stabby, stabby, stab, stab. And then we get more complaining. That's really what he talks about. He really wants to fight the Jedi, and that's what we're getting. He really just wants to fight the Jedi. We do get to see Maul's prowess with deflecting a flurry of blaster bolts from many different enemies. He deflects most of the blasts into the Trade Federation captives, killing all but one. And I thought this was very cool because I always felt that because Maul wields a double-bladed lightsaber, he would be incredibly efficient at deflecting blaster fire. The next thing we see is there's one pirate left, and Maul pretty much puts his blade to the guy's neck, and Maul is then told by this last guy that he can find a Jedi Padawan, that he knows of information where he can locate a Padawan. And this, of course, piques Maul's interest. He's very interested in this fight. But once the informant is out of details, Maul knocks him out. And I have a big problem with this. This is my big red flag in this whole comic. Because why the heck would Maul leave a witness? I don't get this. He's killing everybody. He's been ordered to kill the Trade Federation people by Sidious. And leaving this one person could mean compromising of Sidious's plans. And I do not believe after all this training Maul would be this reckless. Maul kills the last survivor of the Trade Federation after this. The dialogue between them is... It's really cool, and I picked up something on this I didn't expect to pick up. We see the survivor addressing Palpatine as Lord Sidious, and this reveals to us as the reader that members of the Trade Federation, or at least the people in this room, know Sidious's true identity as a Sith, or as a Sith Lord. And this is crucial because then it means that Maul's decision to leave that survivor I just talked about is all the more stupid. Trade Federation members could be informed by this guy of Sidious's betrayal of them and would forever change the events of the rest of the canon. And to me, this was sloppy writing and shows carelessness for the Star Wars timeline. I'm going to drop it at that. And essentially, that's it. That's the end of the comic. We see Maul begin his hunt for the Padawan. He leaves and says he's going to be dead before the Jedi can rescue this Padawan. I thought this story did absolutely nothing to expand on what we currently know of Darth Maul. We haven't had a lot of new information on Maul in a long time, and so we get zip, nada. There's no expansion on his canon backstory or anything. Over half of the writing in this whole comic is Maul complaining, which, with what I know about him, seems dumb. It seems petty. Again, the writing made Maul seem out of character. This wasn't the Maul that I recognized. But then again, this Maul, as I previously talked about, could be a much younger Maul. This could be years before. We're not sure. If I'm wrong, you can correct me in the comments below, but it seems to me that Maul is young here, and he's more mature and less refined, so maybe that's the case. I really love the art. This is the saving grace for the comic for me, which is going to bring it up a few points. This art was beautiful. I loved it. I loved how bold the lines were. The blacks were really black. The colors were dark. I loved the contrasting colors from each scene. And I like the illustration of the action. And my favorite part of the art in this comic are the robes, actually. Even though they're just standstill shots, the robes look really good. They look dark and menacing, and they look full, and it makes the fabric look kind of expensive, which makes me think, I don't know where Maul gets his money from, but those have got to be expensive. As for his score, overall, I'm going to give Darth Maul issue number 1 a 6.5 out of 10. Overall, I wasn't impressed that much, but I do care enough, just enough, to see what happens next with this upcoming issue on March 22nd. We'll discuss it then. Thank you guys so much for checking in on this review. I know it's a bit late, but I wanted to jump into it before the next issue comes out. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching The Losers. My name is Marshall, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.